Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be painting the chassis with the chassis paint as well as the axles, and then we're going to strip the axles down and refurbish them before we start putting it back on the chassis.
And as ever, guys, if you're not subscribed yet, please do hit that button. It helps us out massively. We have just done some cleaning up in here and setting up, prepping ready for laying some of the black. So this is the front axle up here. We've bagged off the ends because the swivel balls actually look in pretty good nick. They're not pitted, and I think they don't seem to be leaking, so I'd quite like to reuse them. So obviously we don't want to cover them in paint. So this is going to be our test subject up here. Make sure that the black lays properly, and you'll see over there there's some wet primer down there where we were doing some touch-ups on the chassis. So let's go. Here we are, guys. So first coat down on the front axle. As you can see, it's come up really nice. Satin finish. Looks really great. So test over. Now we're going to get onto the chassis. Right, everyone, there we are, everything freshly painted. Sorry we didn't do that much talking through the process. We were obviously wearing masks and it was difficult to stop and start, but the air has settled now and it looks pretty good. That frost paint laid on absolutely lovely. Got a really good coating on both axles, the chassis, top and bottom, and then the radius arms and trailing arms there. We have got one more product coming for all of these parts.
We just want to say a quick thank you to Frost for these awesome t-shirts. So today we're going to get the Raptor on. So although we're really happy with the way the chassis turned out already with the frost paint, this isn't that dissimilar to what the Defender would have come out the factory with, and we don't want to have to do this again. So we're going to try this. We've heard really good stuff, and this should give us that extra bit of protection. So what we've done is we've masked off all of the major mating surfaces just so that we don't have any additional thickness on there, but otherwise the entire chassis is going to get a coat of this.
Right guys, so we are about ready to spray this Raptor. We've done a lot of prep work on the chassis, which we didn't film because it wasn't very interesting. So we had this cross member off, and we've prepped, primed and painted behind there and put it back on. And we've taken off the rear shock mounts from there, again cleaned up as best we could, a little bit of rust treatment, primed and painted. We also, along here, you'll see that rather strange effect. That's where we welded in the plate. So we've put some seam sealer on top of there. We're slightly concerned about porosity of the welds. Obviously didn't want water going in and causing the problems that had occurred before. So seam sealed all along there. Not the prettiest thing, but it will do the job and won't be seen. So what Lewis is doing right now is he is just going around the chassis and spraying on adhesion promoter, which came from Raptor. Just spraying that all over the top coat. The top coat does have a tack to it. It's not perfectly smooth, but this adhesion promoter will just help everything stick. Right guys, I don't know whether you would have seen on the time lapse, but we were doing battle with a gun, and we sort of stopped for a while and then started again. And the reason for that is the sort of Schultz applicator gun that I already had, I've had it for quite a few years, broke on us and tore its threads out. So we have had to apply Raptor with a normal gravity gun. It's got a 1.8mm nozzle, which is actually a pretty decent size nozzle and actually not too different to the Schultz gun. But I just wanted to show you guys the sort of difference, because we were able to do this chassis rail with the Schultz gun before it broke, and then the rest of the chassis was with a gravity gun. So those of you who are familiar with the Raptor product will recognize this mottled effect here. And that is like that all the way down this chassis rail, and then over on this side you will see that it is not as raised or mottled. So hopefully its protective qualities will remain, and it wasn't applied for nothing. You can see along here on the front cross member it is just less raised as this area here, less of a sort of grippy texture. So I guess for a bedliner it's better to apply through a Schultz gun, but then on the chassis, and particularly if you don't want that typical Raptor look, you can, we thinned it to about 10%, you can run it through a gravity gun with a large nozzle. Okay guys, that is the Raptor done on the chassis there. So slightly different textures depending on which part of the chassis you get to, but all in all it laid down really nicely. I actually prefer the finish from the gravity gun rather than the Schultz gun. It just looks a bit more factory and less sort of mottled and raised and grippy. So that's the chassis completely done. And then the rear cross member as well, I think looks really good with the slightly smoother effect rather than having it heavily raised. Okay guys, we're going to leave it there. It's been incredibly hot at the moment. We're in the middle of a heat wave. Outside it's about 34 degrees, so in this tent it is killing us. So we're going to wrap this video up here.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like it if you like the video. Also, another thanks to Frost for the t-shirts.
Thanks very much guys. Cheers.
See ya.